A little over a month ago, I bought a 2008 Toyota 4Runner with low mileage off of Facebook Marketplace. I'd been searching for a new potential off-road build for a while now, and when this car popped up, I knew that it would be the perfect candidate. So in this video, I get straight to work on the 4Runner with the goal of giving it a modern and aggressive look. I do lots of different upgrades to the vehicle, as well as even do some custom paint matching and adding tons of new parts that really make this 4Runner look so much better. It's really amazing to see just how far a little bit of paint, a few new parts, and a lot of elbow grease goes on this vehicle. So sit back, relax, and embark on this journey with me as I try to transform my 2008 4Runner that I got off Facebook Marketplace. I truly hope you guys enjoy this video, and please be sure to let me know what you think of the build in the comments. The first thing I wanted to tackle on this vehicle was the headlights. As you can see, these are the OEM headlights and they are very yellowed and foggy looking. Now I did consider just resurfacing them with a little kit from an auto parts store, but I decided to go with an aftermarket set of headlights that has a really cool LED feature that you'll see in a second. Here are the new headlights. This is a set from Amazon, and it does have this very long LED bar at the bottom that I really like the look of, and also it has a black housing that I think looks good. And these were a direct replacement, which made installing them really easy. You can also see my buddy working on the right side of the vehicle. There was a slight bend in the fender, and he was able to straighten that out and get the body lines looking great. We were able to get these new headlights in no problem, and they sure do look a whole lot better than the old ones. Next, we're installing a TRD Pro grill from trailrunnercustoms.com. One of the big things I wanted to do on this vehicle was to get rid of all the chrome. I know that chrome makes the vehicle look a lot older and kind of dates it. Just when you see all that chrome, you know the vehicle is a little bit older, and so getting rid of that was a big goal of mine. And of course, the largest chrome piece was the grill, so I decided to make that upgrade. It's a little bit hard to see here just because this shot is pretty backlit, but I'm just taking a 10mm socket and backing out all of the bolts that hold the grill itself on, as well as the hood latch. Of course, that's an important part. But once you know what you're doing, it's pretty easy to take this grill off. It's just taking off 8 bolts and then moving the hardware over to the new grill. Here's a comparison of the new and the old grill. Now I just need to transfer over some of the hardware. Some of the grill hardware was rusted pretty bad, but good thing I had some OEM replacements on hand. Right before I was about to put the new grill on, I noticed about 16 years of dirt buildup under the grill itself, so I just grabbed a rag, quickly wiped that down just to make it that much cleaner. Now time to put on the TRD Pro grill. If you want one for your rig, you can find them at trailrunnercustoms.com. Now I'm just finishing up the grille installation by fastening all the necessary bolts back on. No more chrome grille. Between the headlights and the grille, there's definitely some major improvement on the look of the vehicle already, but we still got a long way to go. Now looking at the vehicle, there's only one more thing that needs upgrading, and that is the fog lights. Now I have these pod style fog lights here, and you might have not seen these before, and that's because they are my own custom design, and I made these with the highest quality in mind. They're 100% plug and play direct fitment for 4th generation 4Runners. I also have different styles for other Toyotas, so if you want a set, check out the link in the description. Switching out the fog lights is super easy. All you really have to do is pop off the cover, and then at that point you just remove the old fog lights and put the new ones in. That's the driver's side, now to the passenger side. Here's a look at the headlight and fog light combo when lit up. Now getting LED bulbs in the headlights is probably the thing I'm going to do next, because the white LEDs just look so sick on this black car. So now we're going to start on some color matching. Now I wanted to paint the middle part of this rear bumper, and originally I thought that I was going to have to move the hitch to remove the rear bumper, but that did end up not being the case. I was able to leave the hitch on and remove the bumper no problem. But the rear bumper itself was definitely held on by a lot more screws than I had anticipated. I think there was maybe like 6 on the bottom, and then 2 in the wheel well, and then another 5 across the inside of the trunk, which is a lot to hold on a rear bumper, but I guess it is a pretty important part. So I was able to grab my drill, grab my 10mm, and get all those screws out. Now this bolt right here ended up being stripped, which I had to deal with off camera, but ended up not being too bad. There was also a decent amount of cobwebs under where the rear bumper used to be, so you know how to get rid of those. After that, it was time to prep the rear bumper for painting. After everything dried, it was time to tape off the bumper for paint. I'm painting the middle section of the bumper with a dark gray metallic accent. Unfortunately, it was a little bit windy, so I was having a tiny issue with getting everything super even, but I was able to make it turn out okay in the end. This is after the first coat, and unfortunately my camera did die, but I ended up doing 4 coats of this metallic color as well as 2 coats of clear. Now to reinstall the rear bumper. I was glad for that to be over with. Next, I wanted to black out this chrome piece on the trunk hatch here. I think this is probably the worst looking piece on the vehicle, so I had to black it out. The paint I used was a rattle can, but it was color matched to the same paint coat as the vehicle. On this, I ended up doing 4 coats just to cover up the chrome as best as possible, and then after I did 2 coats of clear. This is after the 4 coats of black were put on, and next I did the clear. And of course, taking the plastic and tape off was super satisfying. Now here's where I caught an audible. Now as good as this looks, I decided that I wanted to end up taking off this rear logo and painting it to match the colors of the gray metallic on the vehicle. And even though I'd already painted it, I ended up taking it off anyways, which would have saved me so much time if I had just decided to do that earlier before painting it black. It kind of made it a pain to do this now, but I ended up doing it anyway. So here I am scraping off the adhesive that held the logo itself on. And looking back, I really feel silly not doing this before painting. I guess I was just kind of excited to start painting, but here's everything scraped off. And once it was scraped off, I went ahead and gave it a quick sand just because I wanted to repaint this portion all black so there wasn't any chrome showing when I reattached the logo. But that's pretty much what I'm doing here. I know it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but this is what ended up happening. Here's the rear logo that caused me so much trouble. It used to be black, and now it's the same gray metallic color as the other accents on the car. Now I ended up going on a color matching spree, so this is where I painted the fog light covers to match the same gray metallic. Now you might have noticed earlier in the video they were already this color. This is where I put the footage in. And additionally, I wanted to match the lower part of the bull bar on the front of the vehicle with this same color, so I was able to wash, sand, and paint that as well. Once those pieces were dry, I was able to put them back on the car. Next, I wanted to go ahead and match the door handles with this same metallic gray color you keep seeing throughout this build. Now, if you own a 4Runner, you know most of the 4Runners do have the chrome door handles. This '08 had a chrome door handles, and so what I have in front of me is the Trail Runner Customs blackout door handle kit. This is just black replacement handles, and while those are good, I do have those on my 2006 4Runner. I decided that I want to go ahead and go the extra mile, sand them down, prep them, and then paint them to color match. So now that they were sanded and cleaned, I can move to the backyard where I could get ready to let them dry and then paint them. I did tie them up from a tree using some nice fishing line because I'm a real deal fisherman.
Oh my God!
But in all seriousness, hanging them with fishing line did make it a lot easier to paint both sides. And I also set the other pieces of the door handles out to be painted as well. And this is after the first coat. After a couple more coats, I'm really liking the look of the metallic pattern with this color. And after that, it was time for clear coat. And they turned out super clean. After that, I was ready to install them on the vehicle. Here's a comparison of the chrome versus the new metallic color. Now I moved on to the driver's side. This one was a tiny bit more difficult just because you have to be careful of the door lock spline, which is not too complicated as long as you're careful and you put it back in the exact position that you took it out of. But the back doors are a little bit more complicated because you do have to take off the door cards, whereas you don't have to do that for the front too, but we'll go over that in a second. I'm now tackling the rear door handles, and what I ended up finding out was not only do you have to take off the door panel itself, but you also need to loosen the door actuator and actually move it a little bit out of the way in order to access the screw holding on the piece of the door handle. So that was a little bit of a surprise, but it wasn't too bad once I figured out what I was doing. And now I'm finally on to the last door handle I need to switch out on the rear passenger side. And now we're officially done with the door handles. From here, I decided that I wanted to remove these ugly chrome SR5 badges, so I grabbed my fishing line and I began to work these letters off. Now the adhesive under these letters proved to be a pain just because it's so old, from 2008, and so getting this off was a big pain in the butt, which you'll see in a second. But once I ran my fishing line under and broke the letters themselves free, I was just left with the adhesive. Now, someone that is professional might use like a buffer wheel or some type of powered tool to get the adhesive off, but me, I don't really have any experience with anything like that. So I ended up using a lot of Goo Gone and a little scraper tool and a rag to get all this off, which took an extremely long time. Such a long time, in fact, that I ended up just turning off the camera and sitting there and doing it just because I didn't want to waste up all that time and memory. But eventually I was able to get the badges off of both sides and get the paint looking fine. Now, I've been playing around with the idea of a custom badge for a while. Now, the one I decided with says 4Runner. Of course, this is the name of my business, but also it's kind of a play off of the 2024 4Runner model that is the Trail Hunter edition. So I thought that looked kind of cool, but here's a little look into my 3D printer setup where I was printing the badges that could be painted and put on my 4Runner. Now, the badge you're about to see on my vehicle is not the final product. It's just a prototype, and I just put it on there with some tape, so it's definitely not permanent. But I was trying out a couple different ideas. So there's the regular 4Runner in the color that matches everything else on the car. And then I ended up going back and deciding that I wanted to try and make a little green emblem, just kind of make a little graphic to go with the letters. And so I also tried that on there and, just seeing what I like, what I don't like, and brainstorming before I make the final product. Just to recap what all we have color matched, of course we have the rear lower bumper as well as the rear emblem in the back, and then we have all 4 of the door handles as well as the fog light covers, and finally the front skid plate. So I was actually going to wrap up the video there, but I decided that I wanted to try one more thing in the front, and that was to put the amber grille lights on the grille. I know that on the side markers of the headlights there's a nice amber color, and so I thought that that might match it, and I figured why not try it out. So here I am wiring the add-a-fuse to connect the lights to the grille. Now these lights do come on with the headlights, which you'll see in a second, but of course I have to add the add-a-fuse and then I have to ground the black wire before I can run the lights into the grille, which is super easy. There's already a ground point in place for the battery, so I was just able to go off of that with my drill. And here I am just popping in the grille lights in the front. There's 3. I like the nice little symmetrical pattern, 3 across the top, and so popping those in is super easy. All you really have to do is snap them into any open hexagon on the grille, which is what I did. While I had the hood open, I went ahead and did some wire management just because I didn't want any hanging wires in the engine bay. So I was able to run the wires behind the hood latch bar, and then from there I went and got some tiny zip ties, and I was able to zip tie the wires out of the way, make them nice and compact. That way I didn't have to worry about them getting in the way in the future. And that was easy enough, so here's what they look like. I also decided to pull my silver 2006 4Runner next to my new build just to compare the two. So yeah, at this point I think I'm going to go ahead and stop this episode. We got a lot done. As you can see, the fog lights, the headlights, the grille, color matching there, all the way onto the sides where we have the lovely matching gunmetal door handles, matching. Oh, forgot to mention that no more badge. Getting ready for the custom badge that I'm still working on. Then we have the blacked out with the color matched emblem, and then of course the color match in the rear. So a lot has been done to this, and of course there's a lot to be done in the future to make it exactly how I want it. We do need to color match these 2 silver badges in the back, of course. Put on the custom badges like I said. I also have some new mirrors I want to revamp this roof rack as well. Of course, lift and tires. This thing needs a lift and tires like a fish needs water. I already have the parts in, I just need to put those on. But of course, I do know that is the main thing it needs right now. Other than that, there are a few things that I was considering. I'm thinking about putting a lower light bar in. This one like I have in my other one. I think that would look nice. Also, still haven't decided whether or not I want to paint this part this nice gray color and match it, but there are a lot of decisions coming up on this vehicle. Some other things I plan to do are, of course, redo the interior a good bit. I have some upgrades for that. I also am considering tinting the windows, and then a few other odds and ends, including black wheels. Black wheels I feel like are a must just because of the black vehicle. And I also want to get rid of these running boards. So that's a pretty huge list of things to do, and so I'm going to just go ahead and call it right here as far as the first episode of this build. I think we got a lot done. This is definitely a longer style video than what I'm used to, but I'm really happy with how this turned out, and I can't wait to keep working on it. So that about wraps it up for today. If you're interested in some of these mods for your Toyota, check out the link in the description for my website. Also, subscribe for more Toyota build content, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.